Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It's Thursday. That means it's time for the TopSpeed.com podcast. Music's jamming. All right, we hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful day and has had a wonderful week so far. We've got a jam-packed show for you today. Lots of cool and exciting news. We've got first drive impressions of the new Hyundai Genesis. Got a few cars to talk about. Some news, including a couple of rear-wheel drive hypercars. And Mark is back. So, hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm very good.
All right. And now that Mark is back, we also have to say hello to our editor-in-chief, Justin Coupler. Justin, good afternoon.
Hello, everybody.
Someone's a little chipper today, huh?
I'm far from chipper. I'm in a bad mood. I'm just putting on a nice little face.
Oh, that's
Hey,
good.
now, you're not supposed to spoil the illusion for the listeners.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am just fantastic. How are you all doing today?
We're giving him medication, folks. Don't worry about it. All right. Once
Takes a
again,
little bit to
Did
kick
you
in.
say take 1 or 20?
as many as you want, Justin. As many as you want. All right, guys. Like I said, this is the TopSpeed.com podcast. TopSpeed.com is your automotive home on the internet for anything and everything you want to know. Car reviews, news, fancy tuner stuff. We have it. All of it's here. Come, please read it. We have motorcycles, ATVs. If it has wheels and a motor, you can find it here. So today we're going to move right into weekly wheels. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with Justin. Justin was driving the Acura TL, and he has some very strong feelings about this car.
Yeah, pretty strong feelings. I tagged it the world's worst luxury car. Yeah, I've driven a lot of cars in my life, a lot. And I've even driven the Cadillac Catera. And, yes, I have to say the Acura TL was by far the worst, quote-unquote, luxury car I've ever driven in my life. First of all, it's somewhere in the high $40,000 range, the model I had. I had that special edition model that added the spoiler and graphite rims and all that stuff. It's a good-looking car from the outside. It's more sporty than you'd expect out of a luxury car. But the cabin is just barren relative to everything else in the market in that price range. I mean, it does have a display screen, but it's that weird monochrome that we used to see in like the late 1990s cell phones. So it's just like a dark black with the very white letters, and there's not much to see on it, no color. Audio system stunk up the joint. The leather seats felt like they're out of a late model Chevy. Now the engine and handling and so forth, it lived up to its billing because the TL is billed out as the luxury sports car in Acura's lineup. That's about the only good thing I can say about it. That 290 horsepower, it performed well, it handled well, but the cabin just was not anywhere near luxurious in my opinion.
Well, I've always felt really weird about Hondas and Acuras in general, because a lot of the rest of the world gets our Acuras badged as Hondas, and Hondas is a higher premium brand, kind of like Volkswagen is here. Volkswagen doesn't make cheap cars here; they make like a higher level sort of premium entry level car. And then Honda's sort of backwards, where the rest of the world, Hondas are kind of like these more premium vehicles, and then Volkswagen makes bottom barrel garbage. And so it's sort of interesting to see that you don't think it's a very luxurious car. I do have to say that price tag kind of shocked me. $40,000? Like, really?
Yeah, somewhere up in the 40s. I don't have the spec sheet in front of me, but it's up in the 40s if I recall. But what's crazy though, here's the weird thing about this. 2 cars after I received the TL, before I received the TL, I got the a Honda Accord Touring V6, and this thing was loaded to the gills. It made the Acura look like a Metro. It was horrible, and it's weird because that's a luxury brand. I got the top model Accord was 10 times better than the luxury model.
That's kind of the problem Lincoln and Ford have. Like, Lincoln makes some nice cars, but for a better price, you can get a nicer Ford.
Yeah, it's really wild with these brands that do that. They would do the luxury branding, Toyota and Lexus and so on. They all kind of have similar problems. I think the Lexus, Toyota, and Infiniti Nissan one is kind of separating. but you still have the issue within Honda and Ford.
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and cut you there. Of the brands I think that do this the best has got to be Infiniti. They're aside from the 370Z and the G37 Coupe, there really is absolutely zero crossover between an Infiniti model and a Nissan model. They don't look the same, they don't feel the same, they don't drive the same, they're not equipped anywhere near the same. Like that's the big differentiator. You know, with Lexus even, like I had the ES, it's a Camry, and it feels like a Camry. And in certain angles, it kind of looks a little bit like a Camry, or at least the Avalon, depending on your model. And then when you go to like Ford, granted the brand new Lincolns are much better about it, but like the slightly older stuff, like you could look at an MK Z, I believe, whatever it is, and be like, that is a Ford Fusion. Like it just is. It just has a shinier grille on it. So it's interesting to see how many brands kind of mess that up, but at least Nissan for the most part, and with their Infiniti branch, does really good.
Yeah, for a long time, Nissan and Infiniti have been really good at separating themselves. Lexus is just now starting to kind of get the feel of that, but Acura, Honda, they just seem to be mashed together still.
Womp womp. All right, we're going to move on to Mark, who his weekly wheels is actually something I'm really interested in. I've not got a chance to drive one, but I do like them. He had a Dodge Durango.
Yes, you know, like the whole Ron Burgundy commercial stuff. I mean, this car is awesome. I fell in love with this car. I'm an SUV truck kind of guy, and just the monochrome, like the dark gray paint appearance that this thing had, it just set it off. It was perfect. I thought it was beautiful. My tester came equipped with a Pentastar, the 3.6 liter V6. I really like that engine. It's the first chance I've really gotten to flog on one, but it was powerful enough. It had 295 horsepower, 280.
It's right at 300.
Yeah. But I mean, it's plenty powerful enough for this car. I mean, it's not going to be spinning tires or anything like that, but it's plenty powerful for off the line. Passing power, 50 to 70 was sufficient. The new 8-speed transmission was really good in it, and I loved that rotary dial switch for the gear shift. That was so cool. I really fell in love with that. And like having your arm on the armrest, your fingers just fell right to that, and it was just perfectly placed. I was really surprised with the rear legroom and rear, I guess, passenger comfort. I didn't get a chance to ride in the back, but just sitting back there, you can recline the seats back. The armrests fold down. You got tons of legroom all over the place. I mean, it's just, this is like the perfect road trip car, I would imagine. And it's got seating for like 7 people. You can get the DVD package or whatever if you want. Mine didn't come with that, but it did come with that great 8.4-inch Uconnect system. I haven't seen another system quite as perfect as this. Literally, it's perfect. It happened like you touch the screen, boom, you're there. There's no lag. The colors are great. All of the systems work well. There's no useless areas or anything like that. It's a good system. And then I love the little 7-inch TFT display in the gauge cluster as well. That was really handy. So
you liked a lot about it.
And there was pretty much nothing I didn't like about it.
What kind of economy did you get out of it?
Well, if I kept my foot out of it, the average would go pretty quick up on the little average indicator on the gauges. I was getting about 21 on the highway. If I was just cruising, I could get 25 easily, I think. But around town, letting it cruise or whatever, about 18 or 19.
Well, that's still not terrible. It was two-wheel drive, right?
It's rear-wheel drive.
Because you can't get. I don't think you can get the V6 with the all-wheel drive.
I think you can.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the 6S model as well.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And then of course you can get the Hemi as well. And that's awesome.
Now, one thing that concerns me with the V6 is engine noise on the highway. Is that any burden on this with the 8-speed transmission?
No, this thing is so quiet. I mean, it was turning like 1,700 RPMs at 60 miles an hour, or no, at like 80 miles an hour. It was super smooth. Eighth gear comes in really quick, and it will stay in eighth gear pretty much the whole time you're on the highway.
Yeah, Justin, have you ever driven that Pentastar?
No, I've never had a chance to, but I've always wanted to.
Yeah, no, that is a peach of an engine. Like,
Yeah.
To me, it makes most of Dodge's V8s kind of suck.
Yeah.
Until you get to like the really big Hemis with like more than 400 horsepower, there's no reason to go above the V6 because the V6 is that good. It's super smooth. It's pretty efficient. Tons of power. I mean, it's 300 horsepower, 300 torque, and it's just a fantastic little engine. Both cars my parents own have got it in it, and I mean, I've flogged the hell out of that thing. It's great, and I just wish that Chrysler would take the time to invest some of the money and energy that they did into the Pentastar into kind of updating their V8s.
Yeah, the Hemis are starting to get a little old.
Yeah, I always heard the engine was really, really nice engine. I just never got a chance to get a hold of one yet.
Yeah, no, I do have one kind of complaint about the drivetrain. Well, actually two. First was throttle tipping. Getting on the red light, you push the gas, and it will immediately jerk you forward. It's kind of like it's almost like you got rear-ended. You just kind of get pushed from behind, and then once you're moving at about 10 or 15 miles an hour, when you think it should shift into second, because it's got 8 speeds, it should shift pretty quickly. It lags into first gear, and it kind of holds there for a second, and then shifts. Yeah, so kind of that starting first gear was really my only complaint about the vehicle.
That's that's a strange shift. I wonder if maybe that thing's just been beaten to death because how many miles did it have on it? I had like 15,000 or something.
I think it had 12.
12. It might have just been beaten.
That's a lot of mileage.
That's a good
12,000.
mileage on a press car.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's like 3 sets of tires.
Oh, fun fact. The GTR that I had, I picked it up with less than 5,000 miles on it, and it was on like its 4th or 5th set of tires.
God.
Oh, that is just awesome.
Jeremy Clarkson must have been driving that before. So that's crazy.
Everyone who gets in that car with journalists thinks they're Jeremy Clarkson, and they just hogball it to death.
Yeah.
All right, I was driving a luxury car that wasn't nearly as terrible as Justin says the TL is. I was in a Buick LaCrosse Touring.
What'd you think of that car?
Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty solid.
Has Buick gotten rid of their old man persona? Have they gone the way of Cadillac and kind of livened up their brand? Because I really want them to.
Not nearly as good as Cadillac, no, because everything Cadillac makes now is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But it was solid. I did have some issues with it, but like style-wise, I love the way all the new Buicks look.
Yeah.
Yes, I know they're all Opals that are rebadged as Vauxhalls in Britain and then given some leather and rebadged as Buicks here, but they're still solid cars. You know, hey, it's German built. German is German.
Nine.
But so, yeah, don't. But it had some really weird ergonomic issues.
Uh-oh.
Especially if you want to take any kind of a trip. So, like, you get in the cabin, and the front 2 seats feel really cramped. So, like, the center console is massive.
Is
And
it like
looks-
Ford? Is it like Ford Taurus massive?
No, it's not quite as big. Well, it's higher than that, but not as wide. Like, if you just sit there, like, your armrest is the center console, basically,
Yeah.
and it swoops up, and then it sprouts out. So both front passengers are in, like, this little cocoon. And the doors are super thick, like, with the door, or the armrest and the door handle stick out really far, and they're really padded. But, like, you understand that this car is fairly wide, but there's not a lot of space for you.
Huh.
It looks gorgeous, and the design is cool, and they've got like tucked away little LED lights in the trim that glow at night and bathe the whole cabin very, very well. I mean, it was very nicely done. Leather felt good. The fake wood looked good. But
the fake would look good.
Yeah, was it fake, or I thought Buick was started to kind of venture towards the real wood?
For my definition of wood, almost no car really comes with real wood anymore. Like even Audi, their real wood, you get like the A7 and the A8 is real wood veneer, so it's like a 1/16 of an inch thick sheet of wood.
Yeah.
It's not old school real wood anymore.
Yeah.
That
Well,
makes me sad. But anyways, like yeah, I've got the sticker here. We have leather and wood grain heated steering wheel. It doesn't say real wood or fake wood. It just says leather and wood grain. But it looked great. But like, there's no storage inside this car.
Really?
Yeah, so like you have this huge console next to you, and there's like a little cubby in it right underneath the armrest, and like that's it. And in the door, there is a pocket that's about 2 inches wide that does that little thing where you pull on it and it folds out to be like 4 inches wide at the top and still 2 inches wide at the bottom. And then it has a tiny glove box. But that was basically all of the storage in the front of the car. The 2 tiny side pockets, the glove box, and then a little bit in the armrest. There is nothing in that center console for storage. So I took it to where did my brother-in-law live at the time? Because he moves all the time. North Carolina. It was like a 8-ish hour drive. I took this in, and like we get in the car and we stop at the gas station to buy like bottles of water and some snacks, and I get in and I'm like, I have a cup holder and like that's it. I have nowhere to put anything in the front of this car.
Yeah.
Back of it though is fantastic. We loaded up everybody in the back of it once we got to North Carolina and was driving around, and tons of legroom in the back, tons of shoulder and hip space. I mean, you could easily fit 3 wide in the back and just have a wonderful time. But the front is like really kind of cramped. Drove well enough. It had the 3.6 liter that they put in everything.
Yeah.
That's in Cadillac. That's in all their SUVs.
Well, that's a good motor, though. I mean, I have no complaints about that engine.
I don't have any complaints about it either. It was a little noisy for what I thought Buick would be.
Yeah.
But it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was louder than the Lexus that I was in. But overall, it was a solid car. Little pricey. This one stickered at a final price of $41,000. And
That's a little steep.
Right. And then you realize that it actually has almost 0 options. I have rear seat airbags for $350 and crystal red paint for $325.
Did it come with navigation or anything?
Yeah, like it had a lot of that sort of stuff built into it automatically. I've got rear vision, rear parking assist, memory seats, heated steering wheel, heated seats, fog lamps, navigation, all of that. But
so was it like a higher trim package?
yes, it was the touring, so it's like the higher trim.
Oh, that comes standard with. Okay, yeah.
Right, but it still did not feel like $41,000.
Yeah.
Like I'm just thinking, like this is a nice car. I wouldn't say it's more than 35 grand nice, though. Like the G25 and the G35. The G25 has a 4-cylinder, yes, but drove better, had more room. I enjoyed it better than I enjoyed the Buick, and that was like 34,000, I think, is the one that they sent me. 35,000, like a solid chunk of money less than the Buick.
Yeah.
And so that sort of threw me off. And I had all the same options. I had leather heated seats and memory seats and navigation and all of that junk.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little iffy that, granted, Buick has come back, but with the way Buick was and with the way their name had been tarnished, I think they need to try and cut back those prices a bit to bring in more buyers, to build some brand awareness. And then over the years, like it's just a $500 increase this year. It's just a $600 increase this year, and then get the price back up where they want it. Yeah.
How was the ride? Was it too firm for the older Buick customers?
I'm a terrible judge for that. Me and my wife both get terribly motion sick if we're not driving. So we prefer cars with extremely stiff suspension. The Buick was soft enough to make her, on the way through the mountains near Asheville, go, slow down, I'm going to go to sleep so you can drive. So if she's asleep, she won't get sick.
So that's how you review cars. It should be the Mo's wife nauseousness meter. That is now the new staple for how we're going to measure the softness of a ride.
Yeah, no. That's actually a terrible, terrible scale, because even the GTR, if I had the suspension in a little comfort setting, depending on the road, she got a little bit. So yeah, using her as a terrible judge.
Oh my.
If the suspension is not literally just granite or just plates bolted together, she might get car sick.
And I'm looking at pictures of the interior of the LaCrosse right now, and I've never actually looked at the inside of one of these, and it is honestly, like you said, ridiculously small. They show a picture of a guy driving, and he is tucked in like this. The gear shift
you are in it.
The gear shift is almost hitting his forearm, and his elbow is actually below the armrest.
Yeah, I mean, it's very cocoony. I mean, like, once you get in it and you're on the highway, like, it's super comfy, like a big lazy boy chair. The seats just kind of hug you, and the whole cabin just kind of hugs you. And even when you're holding onto the steering wheel, you can get your elbows down and rest them, and you just kind of hold on and just go where you're going. But yeah, it was just like, for such a, I mean, it's not a massive car, but it's not a tiny one either. I'm like, there's not much room up here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of a shame, I guess, because Buick, I still think they kind of cater to that older crowd, and they like to frequent buffets, and that might not. It might, you know what I'm getting at? They might not.
There's plenty of forward and back
ride.
room. Not as much left and right as you wanted.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about the funky noise. I dropped my coaster.
Well, that's.
I picked up my cup and the coaster came attached, and the coaster wasn't attached anymore. All right, but let's move on to what we're all really here for, or at least me. Mark, please make me want to buy a Hyundai Genesis sedan.
Well, you should, because this car. I'm sad I'm not in it right now. Like, I've never felt so strongly about a car. Like, this thing literally was just downright amazing. Looks are subjective. People are going to have their different opinions about how it looks. I like it. I think it looks maybe a little plain in the front, but I'll get over that because the inside was very nice. The pictures really don't do it justice. The seats are so padded. The seats, they're just so comfortable. They're infinitely adjustable. The steering is tilt telescope. You can just, it is like a lazy boy. You can just get in there and just be really comfortable. The gear shift, I loved how, I guess, snickety it is. It just has a short throw, and from park to drive, really nice. It's got also the forward and back rock for the gear selector. Put it in sport mode, the suspension tightens up just a little bit. Shifts are a lot quicker. Steering changes just a smidge. I was really tearing up some back roads. Like I said it in my article, I'm no Mario Andretti, but like I was inducing some understeer pretty heavily around these corners. I was really enjoying it. Really, really enjoying it.
Well, so the understeer sort of, because I read your piece. Nice job, by the way, especially on the photos. I taught you well. But no, seriously though, actually the photos were pretty good. I appreciate that. I was really, really impressed with a lot of that. But like, I know who Hyundai is trying to compete with, and yes, part of it is Lexus and stuff like that. But a big part of it is Mercedes and BMW and Audi. And I have spent lots of time in Audis, and I've spent lots of time in BMWs, and except for Audi's all-wheel drive system when I'm really, really beating on it, understeer is not a thing you get. You get this really nice, perfect neutral balance and maybe a bit of oversteer on a lot of these cars. And I know Hyundai has done it in looks. Like, I look at the photos, and people can say, oh, it looks too much like this or it looks too much like that. I don't care. I think that car looks like $1 billion.
And I think it's original. I don't think it looks like any Audi or Mercedes ever built.
I mean, you can always pull out details from things. If people are really annoyed about it, I can tell you that I think it's the third-gen Impreza taillights look a lot like the last-gen BMW 5 Series taillights. Oh no, BMW ripped off Subaru.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's only so much you can do with design and regulations and everything. But the actual car, I think, looks great. And I know Hyundai's done a lot with their new engines, which I'm going to ask you about those in just a second.
Oh, yeah.
But
nice.
when I hear that you're going nuts and you start to hit understeer, I know that's safer, but that makes me worry that it's not going to be as good of a drive as I could get in one of the competitors.
Well, granted, I'm sure it's not the handler that, say, the 5 Series is, but I only induced understeer one time, and it was literally about a 90-degree bend in the road, and I jerked the wheel under power. And I was pushing the car, I think, too hard, I misjudged the corner and was entering it too quickly, so I was not. It was not an everyday driving situation that the understeer occurred in.
Well, and so the understeer might have been a Mark error, not a Hyundai error.
I think it was a me error. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I say, I'm no race car driver or anything like that, but the car felt really balanced. The most of the time I spent was in the V6 rear-wheel drive, which technically is the base car, but I think it felt the best.
See, that's what I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, really their all-wheel drive platform only adds about 140 pounds. That's it, but it just felt more balanced. The steering was lighter, which I like, and I was able to throw it around a little bit more than the all-wheel drive. The V6 is plenty powerful. It's 311 horsepower. That's just as much, if not more, than the competitors. It just felt right. It really did. There wasn't much of a throttle tip-in. There was nothing funky about the throttle. It was smooth, linear. I had no issues with acceleration or deceleration, passing. Everything it seemed to work really well. I didn't find anything that I said, wow, they could really improve on that.
Now, one issue I've run into before with Hyundai and Kia luxury models is a little bit of road noise and so forth with the larger rims. Do you hear any of that in this? Does it come through your suspension?
Okay, so it did have a little bit of tire thump, but I think that was mostly due to the kind of the broken roads around some of the places that we were at. We did go through some construction zones where they had chopped up the pavement. It was like that real rough right before they pave it again. But I mean, come on. Otherwise than that, I mean, with the stereo off, with AC off, the windows up, and everyone's just stark quiet, the car was pretty quiet itself. I didn't really hear any wind noise around the mirrors, around the A-pillars or anything like that. It was really a serene environment. It really was.
And when you get into this kind of car, you do have to kind of compensate for the fact that you're not paying for a Mercedes for a reason.
Yeah.
You're getting that lower price car, and you have to compensate. A little bit of road noise maybe. I'm sure the engine, the V6 is a little bit loud. It's had the same issue in the Cadenza. The V6 was a little bit loud.
I don't know. I think Hyundai kind of they may have priced up a little bit on this one because I didn't hear any crazy noises. Okay. In fact, I kind of wish the V6 was a little louder.
Yes, maybe they fixed that issue.
Yeah, I mean, NHV was very solid on the car. I mean, the V8 was a little bit louder, but I mean, not by much. And I even wish the V8 had more of a throaty sound to it. I wish there was like in sport mode it got louder or something like that, but it didn't. It was almost too quiet.
Well, and one thing, and it's something that I've definitely noticed, is like I know that technically like Kia and Hyundai are under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
But they operate as separate entities. And
okay. So
I've always felt like a lot of Hyundai stuff is always just a bit nicer than Kia's stuff.
Okay, yeah. So think about this, right? The new Genesis is new. It has a new platform that no one else has. Even the K900 or whatever it is, it's on the old Genesis platform. This one is totally new. It's all aluminum. It's like, I don't know, 45% stiffer or something like that. No other Kia Hyundai car shares this platform, so it's all new. So all the stuff that you know about the Cadenza, the K900, even the old Genesis, just throw it out the window because this is a new car. The only carryover parts are the engines and in the transmission. But the V6,
and even the engines were modified, right?
Yeah, even the V6. Well, both of them were modified. The V8 less so. I think it got a new lower friction crankshaft spindle or something like that. Not really a big deal. But the V6, they worked it up a little bit more to where it's got more mid-range power and more torque, more easily accessible. It does have 1 foot-pound more torque, but it did decrease the horsepower by about 22 horses. Not a big deal because that power is more accessible in like the lower RPM range. So it feels peppier than it did the last year.
Well, that's a big thing a lot of people don't take into account as to how accessible the power really is.
Exactly.
You have 500 horsepower, but that 500 horsepower comes at 8,500 on a 9,000 RPM redline. You have that much peak horsepower. That's it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, the RPM redline on this thing was decreased by 400 revs, so it's now 6,000 as your redline. But I mean, you get it at 4,500 RPM and you're flying. I mean, the thing really does. It does a good job for a V6. I mean,
Now,
311 horsepower.
The all-wheel drive is only available on the V6, correct?
Unfortunately so, but this is an all-new all-wheel drive platform. And Hyundai, the reason they wanted to do the all-wheel drive is they felt like they were missing sales in like the northern part and Canada. Especially with the BMW and Mercedes having their all-wheel drive platforms.
Yep.
They felt like they were losing a lot of sales. So that's why they added the all-wheel drive. But you can't get it with a V8.
Well, but they're not the only company that does that.
That's true.
Jag is the same way. If you want an all-wheel drive Jag, you get their supercharged V6. That's it. That's the only engine option they have with all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I mean, it saves them money too, because I mean, really, how many people are going to pay the extra for the V8 and the all-wheel drive? Because the all-wheel drive, I think, is about a $3,000 option.
Ooh,
I think. Don't.
that's a little stiff.
Maybe it's two. I really can't remember.
I mean, like I could see it being $3,000. It's just that's a little up there.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. Hang on, let me look here.
He has paperwork, just like me.
No, this is for the 5.0. This is
We're
not
stickers.
Yes. I have a build sheet here for the 5-liter V8, but
I have a whole
obviously-
pile of stickers.
Well, I have one for the Durango too, but we're done talking about that. So
You guys are
Right.
horrible.
Let's see what I've
I
got.
know.
I've got LaCrosse, 500 of Barth, Legacy, a couple Subarus.
yeah, I have a file folder full of window stickers.
Yep.
So
I've got the GTR window sticker too.
nice.
I remember this one. 2012 Sierra Denali 2500 4x4.
Okay. The all-wheel drive is $2,500, by the way.
Oh, you
Okay.
did look it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Except
So, I
that's
mean-
a little stiff.
Yeah, but I feel like still $2,500 is cheaper than a Lexus. It's cheaper than a Mercedes. It's cheaper than a BMW, and you're getting, I think, an equal if not better car. But it doesn't come with that name. But at the same time, a Lexus didn't come with a Lexus name 10 years ago either, or 15.
No, that is 100% true.
And I do want to talk about this because I think, I read a lot of the comments on the piece that I wrote, and they were all bashing Hyundai, like, I would never spend $50,000 on a Hyundai. Yeah, maybe not, but I think you should get, at least give them a chance because they are building that brand reputation. They have to start from somewhere. And 10 years ago, they were building crap cars, and they know that. But now they're not building crap cars. They're building really decent cars that are worth the money. And the new Genesis, I think, is front and center on that. I hate to sound like a broken record, but really I did not like anything about the car. It handled well. All the options worked well. The sound system in the car, oh my gosh, like put me in like a cathedral somewhere. It really did sound awesome.
That's really good.
Yeah, and I know, Christian, you're a big stickler on sound systems.
I guess. I'm wearing a different set of headphones today, too, by the way.
I know, I like
to change it up a little bit.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's really fit and finish, amazing.
Well, a lot of these people sit there and say they wouldn't pay $50,000 for a Hyundai. Put them in an Equus and then put them in a top-level S-Class and say, okay, this car is about half the price. Which one do you want?
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
and that's the thing. The people who are buying, $60,000 Equises or S-Classes, they got to have some sort of financial sense. I mean, they're not stupid people. So, I mean, if they can get an equal car for half the price, I mean, that's a darn good selling point to me, at least. Maybe if they've got old money or something like that, maybe so the S-Class, but I don't know.
Well, but and also there's this thing like I wouldn't pay $50,000 for a Hyundai, and especially this is true with the Equus. You're not paying $50,000 for a Hyundai. You're paying $50,000 for an Equus or $80,000 or however. I think it's 67.
65 or whatever like that.
Yeah. But that's you're not paying for Hyundai. You're paying for an Equus. Like they have specialized dealers, specialized service. Like they do everything they can to separate that from the Hyundai brand.
And to the Equus.
And they did that with the Genesis too, though. Like anytime you talk to someone about the Genesis who's in Hyundai, they don't say this is the Hyundai Genesis.
This is
the Genesis.
And there's literally one Hyundai badge on the entire car, and that's on the trunk.
No, that's a lie. I believe there's tiny ones in the center caps on the wheels. They're like there, or at least there was on the very last generation.
No, not this one.
Really, they got rid of those ones too. So it's just the one on the back.
They are the Genesis little flying wing things.
Oh, flying wings. I do kind of like that logo actually.
That's exactly what it looks like. No, I mean the same one that's blown up here on my review of the one on the hood that's what the same thing that's in
on the wheel caps.
So, yeah. There you go. And there's a Hyundai badge. There's a Hyundai badge on the engine cover, on both the.
Well, but no one's gonna see that.
No. But I mean, it's if you peel that Hyundai sticker off and just asked a random person on the street, who do you think makes this car?
Nobody can pick a Hyundai.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anyone's going to be like, oh, that's a cheap Hyundai. No, they're going to be like, wow, does Audi have a new model or whatever. I really do. I have a lot of good stuff to say about this car. I really do.
Oh, and just randomly because I saw the sticker really quick. I talking about that G25 sedan from Infiniti.
Yeah.
Basically, all the same options, just had a 4-cylinder instead of a V6. Final sticker after destination and everything, $35,000, $395. So it's $6,000 cheaper than the Buick.
Even the base model LaCrosse is like $33,500 or something like that. So it's even good there.
Yeah. Well, the Hyundai, it's got its own little price points here too. I mean, if you get the base model V6 with rear-wheel drive, you're looking at $38,000 even. Now, my top-of-the-line tester that I took for the pictures that you see in the pictures on the website, that listed for $55,700.
That's a little.
But it comes with the Ultimate package, which is like the top dog thing. Heads-up display, the premium navigation, the Lexicon 17-speaker system. It's got the
17 speakers.
I was just thinking.
Yep. It's Lexicon 17-speaker discrete Logic 7 audio system.
Crap! That's a lot of speakers.
I'm telling you, dude, that the system in this car is nice. Like, we stopped at a gas station one point in time to change drivers on this drive route, and while everyone else is waiting in line to go pee, I stayed in the car and plugged in my iPhone, and I have a test mix of songs on my phone that I know how they sound with good speakers. And this just blew that out of the water. I mean, I was fiddling with the bass, the mids, and the trebles. Oh my gosh, dude. It blew me out of the water. It really does. It's awesome. But a long story short, the car is really nice. People need to sit in the car before they make a judgment on, I wouldn't pay $50,000 for a Hyundai.
Okay, because I mean, like, I'm so interested in this car because like everything looks like Hyundai's really gotten it right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm just like, I enjoy a BMW a lot, and I need some seat time.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too, and I talked to a lot of engineers and a lot of product planners while I was there, and the guys that were saying, look, we understand, we're not going to conquest that buyer who is diehard 5 Series that has every model 5 Series in the past 10 years. We're not going to get him. What we are aiming for is we're looking for the high-end, like Ford Fusion buyer, the high-end Acura. Those kind of like the mid-range cars. We're competing with the BMW and Mercedes and Audi, but we are an alternative to them, not a
direct
replacement. Not a direct replacement. So they don't expect for Audis and BMWs to be traded in for this car. But
they'll probably get a few. But
yeah, I think so because I really do like this car, and honestly, I think BMW's kind of losing their flair, if I can say that.
Well, no, I'll give you that one. They've
totally
gone down a bit, but
yeah, and I notated this in the article too down at the bottom. Acura, that new TXL or LT, whatever it's called. That's like fried grits warmed over. It's boring to me.
And
Fried
suddenly,
grits.
Southern Roots have just come out.
But this car is there's so much more life in this car, I feel like, than the other ones. Acura buyers, go take a look at the Genesis. So.
All right. Well, hopefully I'll have one in the driveway someday, and I can give it a throw. Because I'm so interested in it, and it looks like they did so good. But I know how big the hurdle is they have to overcome to get a lot of buyers, and I'm really excited to see if they made it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it comes down to for me.
Yeah. Oh, and one of the coolest things that this car had, it's one of the higher options on the like the ultimate package. But anyway, they figured out that CO2 levels or high levels of CO2 inside a car is what makes you sleepy on drives. So they have this sensor that's in the AC system that detects those levels, and if they get too high, it will open up the exterior air to come in, and it wakes you up. Like,
That's kind of cool.
how cool is that? They just
So-
totally automatically.
So there's
So-
no vibrating seat or anything like Mercedes does?
No, it doesn't watch your eyeballs and see what you're looking at. Check out-
I'm sleeping.
I'm awake. No, but it does have the haptic steering wheel for lane departure and stuff, which I do say that works really well. I'm driving the new Silverado now with the vibrating seats for the lane departure. Nowhere close to the Hyundai. It works so much better than that.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, well, we've babbled on long enough. Let's move on to actual real news. Before we go to the news, I wanted to remind everybody that we are on iTunes now. So if you're a fan of just subscribing to podcasts, you can subscribe to the iTunes podcast. I think usually, because we update the site on Thursday, I think the podcast usually hits Thursday evening, Friday morning on iTunes. Please, it makes us feel good. It makes us look good. It makes car brands like us. If you would go ahead and give us a little rating, just number of stars, you can run over there real quick and click on it. If you want to write us a little review, that'd be super awesome as well. The more ratings and subscribers and stuff that we have, and the more reviews we have, the more power we have for you guys. So if you want to see all three of us meet somewhere and drive Hyundais, if we have 1 million people that read this podcast, we can say 1 million people want this, and then Hyundai will try and get us together so we could do stuff like that for you guys. So please subscribe and comment and rate and do all that stuff. It makes us look good.
Yeah.
Yay, iTunes. Also, before we go much further, we are thinking about doing live recording of this show.
Scary.
So, yes, very scary.
Us
but,
live.
You're asking for trouble on that
I
one.
promise I will try not to curse or punch kittens. Stupid cat. But what do you guys think? Would you like to watch us live? Obviously, the show will still be recorded and it'll still go up later. And if you did want to see us live, what time in the day would work best for you? Don't give me 11:45 because that's when I go to lunch. Give me a big break, like early morning, afternoon, mid-afternoon, later. Give me a time frame, like sometime between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. or sometime between 9 a.m. and noon. You know,
Just
give me
sometime between Monday and Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not go that far either. Don't listen to Mark. I'm gonna kick him off the podcast by
You
accident.
should always listen to me.
No,
I am full of
you
good
can't.
advice.
No, you're
Give
not.
us something.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, we might do a live show. Please let us know what you guys think about that. As always, you can reach us. Podcast at TopSpeed.com is our email address. You can hit us on Twitter at TopSpeed Podcast. Comments like you're always doing, that sort of jazz. But let's go ahead and move into the news. The first thing we're going to talk about is a story from Justin, and it is about how one of the coolest cars on sale today is getting even better. Justin, please tell me about the 2015 Chevrolet SS.
Oh yeah, we have yelled for it and screamed for it and cried and boo-hooed about it. There's not much change coming to the Chevy SS. It's gonna have the same old V8 engine, 400 and I can't remember, 415 horsepower, I think it was.
Yeah.
But the big thing is you can now have the option as of 2015, according to Motor Trend, I think it was,
Yep.
that there will be a 6-speed manual transmission available.
3 pedals for the win!
Yes, 3 pedals, 4 doors, badass.
Yes. Oh, I cannot wait. I love
yeah.
this car.
So it's ready to take the next step. Obviously, sales were good enough to release it in limited fashion this year. So obviously, sales were good enough to go ahead and bring that 6-speed transmission over with it. Now, we're not too sure if it's going to inherit the 6-speed out of an existing car, maybe the Camaro, or if they're going to bring the 6-speed all the way from Australia that's on the whatever it's called, the Holden Commodore now.
Yeah.
That's still unsure.
Aren't those the same transmission? It's the Tremor.
I'm not 100% sure if they're the same transmission because they didn't bring the same engine by my knowledge. So they may use a different transmission too. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, yeah.
I'd say it's probably most likely just going to be the general Tremec six-speed. That's what's in the old Corvettes. That's what's in the Camaros. Like that's their general go-to. It's a solidly built, easy to get a hold of, fairly cheap tranny that fits to most anything.
Yeah, that'd be the most likely scenario, and it probably is what they have in the Holden. It's just Holden doesn't give quite as much information as Chevy does because they're a little smaller, so they only release certain information. But yes, 6-speed transmission, 4 doors, Charger kiss my ass, and I want the SS.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel the same way. Just give me an LS motor and I'm good.
See,
I don't care that it looks like a Malibu. I don't care it looks like a Malibu on the outside. I just want the V8 4 doors speed. I'm happy.
Just
the
get
Chevy
it black.
small block
Get it
fixes everything.
What'd
Yeah.
you say?
I said a Chevy small block can fix anything, and get it in black. Do not buy it in white. Anyone who buys a police issue car in white should be murdered.
Why? Then it's fun.
Straight
Then you get behind people and you just sit there and scare the living crap out of them. It's
No,
fun.
that's what's annoying is when I am driving maybe slightly quicker than I should be, and I look out on the horizon and I see a white Charger coming towards me, that puts me in a situation. The only cars in the world that should be sold white are police cars, and that's it. So if you see a white car, you know this is a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about these days. There's like, the Crown Vic is getting phased out, and now there's like 4 or 5 options for cops, and it's like I have to learn these headlight patterns and how they look and taillight patterns, and I'm like,
Yeah, it used to be.
that's a Taurus,
It used
but
to
is
be
it
so
real?
obvious. It used to be so obvious back in the day. You'd see the lights behind you, see a nice long light. Oh, that's a police car. Better slow down. It's a Caprice or a Crown Vic. Better slow down. Now, yeah,
Right.
you'd say, wait, is that a Camaro or is that a Z28? What is that behind me?
Yep.
It just
And then so many of them are now doing the light bars embedded in the headliner instead of on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Ah, so annoying.
How am I going to speed slightly if I can't tell if you're going to catch me? It's very annoying.
But yes, so the SS will now have a 6-speed, and there's going to be some other goodies. They'll get some extra technology gadgets here and there. But the big news.
Big one you missed. Magnetic suspension.
Oh, yes, thank you. I was just about to get to that. I
Yeah.
was rereading my piece, and I was just going to get to that. It's now going to borrow, yes, the magnetic ride control from the Corvette and ZL1, the Corvette and Camaro ZL1. So you're going to get a little bit better handling.
Which, you know what else that's in?
See, the
Audi
ZL1.
uses a modified version of that system. It's in all of the Cadillac V models,
Yep.
and Ferrari uses a model that's based on the Delphi design that GM uses in almost every single one of their cars as well.
Nice, and now they can put a handling by Ferrari on the side of it.
Cadillac did that ad once. Did you ever see that ad?
No, I just remember.
It was an ad of a Ferrari blistering around a racetrack, and it's like, this is the Ferrari 458 or whatever. It uses one of the most advanced magnetic ride control systems ever created. It's this magnetic suspension, and they borrowed it from us. And the Cadillac CTS-V comes flying out from behind the Ferrari and bolts past it. Fantastic ad.
America.
Yeah. Where does Ferrari get its suspension? From Cadillac!
General Motors.
America, I need a cheeseburger with extra bacon. Actually, now I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, that doesn't sound really good.
Cheeseburger.
Random thought of the day.
Bacon.
Yes. But like, I've not been able to drive one of the new SS, but I've been in the passenger seat of one that's been hooned a bit, and like, it looks and feels very good. And I spent time in the old G8 and I spent time in the old GTO, and I was so sad that both of those cars died because they were fantastic machines that nobody seemed to care about. And I'm glad that GM won't let it die. Like, no one wants to buy the GTO. We're gonna make it go away and bring it back like 2 doors, or with like 2 years later with some extra doors on it. And now it's a totally different car. It's the G8. And then Pontiac went under and that car died and they left. And they're like, look, this is totally not that same car. It's got a Chevy badge on the front of it. And I'm glad they won't let it die, and I'm glad they keep making it better. And it's something every family man should buy, especially if you can't afford the BMW.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is kind of priced a little up there. It's like in the low 40s. But
Well,
the thing
but it's like you're looking at M5 performance.
well, yeah, true. And now with a 6-speed. But the thing about that I really don't like is GM is really holding back with the numbers on this. I mean, they only made 5,000 of them last year.
I mean, they made enough to recoup their costs.
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on, bring them on. Send me one.
They kind of have to roll it out slowly. They're importing this car, and it's kind of an untested market. I already failed once with Pontiac, so they don't want to just roll this thing out there and say, "Hey, go ahead and have at it," and have them all sit on lots like SRT.
Yeah, I mean, they're being smart about it. They're not bringing in more than they need to. I wonder if they've taken a lesson. Like, Volkswagen is really good at this. If you want a Golf R or if you want a diesel-powered VW, they're kind of hard to find because Volkswagen knows basically exactly how many are going to be sold, and they import that many plus 10. That's about it. So I guarantee you Chevy did a lot of work on this market and how many of these cars are actually going to sell. Yeah. And
another thing is I think that Chevy is kind of getting back to the race on Sunday, sale on Monday type deal because the new SS are kind of what they're racing in NASCAR. Not that I follow NASCAR a lot, but I just think that the car resonates more with those NASCAR fans than, say, like the Malibu of last year, which who wants to race a Malibu? Please. So, I mean, it's actually a legitimate car that, someone can say, yeah, Jeff Gordon rides his car, So, I mean.
That was the worst accent ever.
Come on, man. I can do some country accents. I'm from Tennessee, son.
I know, but you did a terrible job with that one. Then
Jeff Gordon drive this car, man. Eat my pork rinds and drive my Chevy SS.
All right, we need to. Wow, we've been going a long time. We need to get moving. All right, the next story is one from me. We're gonna do it super quick because there's not a super ton to say about it. Yesterday we posted, or I guess it was 2 days ago now, we posted the first video of a LaFerrari.
LaFerrari.
Yes, you guys may remember that Ferrari had posted a $70,000 fine for releasing info about this early, and we don't know if Sport Auto is going to be fined for posting this video, but we do know that they may have found a slight loophole in the wording on the contract because there's not a single word mentioned about this car. And a lot of embargoes are written that way. So you'll see some people who are on press events where they can't tell you what they thought about the car. Yeah. But they can take a picture of the car and post on Twitter or whatever, hey, look, I'm driving this car today. And that's all they're allowed to say. So they might have found a loophole there. But
there's been kind of a new development in it. I don't know if you noticed the video got yanked down.
Really?
I did not notice.
About 5 minutes after we posted it, it was yanked down. We posted it at about it's more like 45 minutes. We posted it at about 3. Jalopnik caught it at about 4:30, and just after that, yanked down. It's gone. So it was gone pretty quickly, but another one popped up on another feed, but apparently something funky happened there. So
well, if they pulled it down, maybe they didn't really pass it.
There might have been an accident. But yesterday afternoon, Top Gear also released their review of the car. Full written review and a video review, and they posted it under the headline, "This is the first review of the LaFerrari."
Maybe they're paying the $70,000.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has the cash to throw at it, it's Top Gear.
Yeah,
Jeremy pure profit
out of his own pocket.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the three. It wasn't Jeremy, James, and Richard. It was the magazine.
It's their blog, yeah.
Group, but yeah.
I would say they got a pretty good budget too.
Yeah. But all the reviews should be out now. I've read 3 or 4 of them now. Basically, here's what it comes down to. The Ferrari is a terrible, stupid name. But if you want to own the Ferrari, this is the Ferrari to own. It's the fastest thing they've ever made. It's the best thing they've ever made. It's not a hybrid. It's not a silly car. It's a freaking bullet with wheels. So, if you're interested, we're going to probably have a couple of videos of those reviews up soon. But search out some of those reviews. They're fantastic. Read them. Let's see. We've got a little piece here from Mark about an electric car company.
Oh, yes.
We
Fisker.
have some news about Fisker.
Those of us, including me, who were like, oh, well, there goes another car company, just kind of counted out Fisker as they dwindled away into oblivion. Well, it looks like they're back. They got bought by a Chinese car company, Wangxing. I don't want to mispronounce it, but I know I just did. Anyway, they got purchased up. Looks like the name is going to be changed from Fisker to whatever. We don't know that yet. But the car itself, the Karma, might possibly get put back into production for 2015. That's kind of good news because I really like the look of this car.
Well, I got to actually drive the the Fisker Karma about a year ago when I first started here with TopSpeed. Yeah, it is an awesome car. I mean, 5,000 pounds. It's massive. But once you get it in its full electric and full gasoline mode, it is a very, very quick car. And for as big of a car it is, the center of gravity is so low because where the battery packs are, it actually handles pretty well.
I mean, the thing looks like a Batmobile with the way it's so low. I mean, please.
It looks great, but I was always worried it'd be terrible to drive.
No, it is the exact opposite. It was one of the best cars I've had the chance to drive. It's smooth. You don't hear any noise. You put it on EV mode on the highway, you hear nothing. Not the cars passing you, not the wheels on the tire, not the wheels on the road, just silence. It is that incredible.
Freak me the hell out.
It is an awesome car, and I felt so bad. I felt so bad when it went under because it's such a great car that so few got a chance to enjoy.
Yeah.
But we all kind of knew it was going to go away. I called it long ago. So
well, I mean,
the way it went.
Fisker seemed to have a lot of issues with meeting the government's expectations for whatever the criteria was to keep their government loan or whatever. So that was the main problem, was they had the government loan, which kept them afloat, but then they kept failing to hit the goals that the U.S. Department of Energy or whatever had set for the company to hit. Mm-hmm. That combined with a pretty substantial recall right early into the production, that really just tripped them up to where they just couldn't recover.
Yeah,
so I mean that was kind of their downfall right up front.
Yeah, they had some other issues on the. I'm sorry, go ahead, Christian.
No, they're like, hey, homies, we're poor.
Yeah.
They had some other issues along the way. The interface for their touchscreen was a little bit clunky. They updated it, but then they started charging for the update, which is a little bit shady. But after some complaints. Yeah, after some complaints, they stopped charging for it. But they really had a black eye after all of that combined together to just kill them. And there's other people, like now there's one, my brother-in-law works at a shop that's repairing a Karma because the Karma dealership or the Fisker dealership nearby here has shut down its service side. So they're actually fixing it, and the batteries are completely dead.
Uh-oh.
And
what did I do about that?
They can't buy them anywhere. They've been in contact with, I think it's ABC123 or something like that. That's the name of the battery company.
Yep.
Been in contact with them, but they are also going through their own financial issues. They're just bought out by somebody else.
Yeah, I think
Johnson,
they might have just been bought by Delphi or something. Yeah.
Johnson Controls. Yeah, Johnson Controls bought them out. The person who builds every battery on the planet.
So I mean, this person who has this Fisker is literally up the creek with no.
Yeah, he's SOL and has no reason. He can't do anything about it right now.
That's not good. Now, I have heard of companies, or one company at least, that has the great idea of dropping an LS motor in these things.
Mm-hmm.
Just screw the battery, drop an LS in.
Bob Lutz is behind that.
Yeah, Bob Lutz.
Is he? Is he? Oh, my God.
Maximum Bob.
I love that guy.
Yeah, it's like if there is a car hero, like if Gearhead Man or Petrolhead Man was like someone who existed, it's Bob Lutz.
Bob Lutz needs a cape. He needs a cape.
I'm going to buy him a cape.
We should. And have like the TopSpeed logo like embroidered on it and just send it to him.
If you guys aren't super familiar with Bob Lutz, I promise you actually already just don't know it. The reason the GTO, the new one, existed was Bob Lutz. The reason the G8 existed was Bob Lutz. The reason the Viper exists, because he was at Chrysler then, is Bob Lutz. Everything cool and exciting in V8 or V10 powered that lives in America since about 1980 is because of Bob Lutz.
Yeah, he was pretty much the exact opposite of a bean counter. Like he made products that didn't make financial sense for the company, which is kind of a GM's problem. But anyway, like he made really good products. So I mean, you got to give him that. I love Bob Lutz.
I'm pretty sure his plan was he went to the bean counters and goes, "So I want to build this V6 powered sports car, rear wheel drive, with just like one seat, and it actually catches on fire as a feature." And they went, "I don't think you can do that. That makes us really angry." And he went, "Good. now that it makes you angry, that V6 is going to become a V12 and it's going to be on fire all the time, and then he would run away and build it. He would just ask him, what is the number one thing you don't want me to do? I'm going to do that twice.
Yeah, he would build that, yeah. Hey, he's cool. But anyway, another good point here about the Karma. Looks like the Karma isn't really the only thing that this company is planning on building. In fact, for 2016, they're coming out with a, quote, Surf Wagon. The name, I guess Surf is going to be the name of the car. It's going to be
that was already announced as well, actually.
Yeah, and then the next one would be the Atlantic, which I guess is some sort of other entry-level sports car thing for 2016.
Smaller one.
Yeah, it's a smaller Karma, basically.
Yeah.
So basically, they're just going to flesh out the entire Karma lineup that was supposed to exist.
Basically so. I mean,
that seems pretty cool.
How cool is that? I really think it's cool because I mean the Karma, it had such good potential, but just bad management and bad money skills or whatever, just it drowned the company.
Great ideas made with terrible decisions.
Yeah, well, it sounds like never mind.
All right. We have a few more news stories to go, but we are running super short on time. Justin wanted to talk about a diesel-powered supercar, which is really crazy and awesome, but I think we might have to move that till next week because we have 1, 2, 3 questions and own drive burn to go, and we're actually at an hour now.
Yep, let's rock and roll.
So we're going to go ahead and move to questions and answers. We're going to cover diesel supercar next week. We're going to cover a cool new mechanic video game next week, and we might cover some Aston Martin stuff next week too. So stay tuned then. But jump right into question and answer. First one is from Sammy833. Hey guys, I hope the next podcast will have some video. The last one actually had video. It just showed up like a day and a half late, so if you go to the YouTube site, you can still find it. But this one does have video, and we're here. We're doing video. Yay, us.
Hi.
You like my gangster signs I threw? I'm
no gangster
Yo.
Mark,
whoa.
you were just talking about fried grits. You the anti-gangsta. All right. Anyways, question for you guys. What is the most insane way you would destroy a car you hate? Sammy would probably first take an axe and hit it until they got tired and then throw it off a cliff and maybe set fire to it.
No.
So we'll let Justin go first.
Oh, thank you. I would go totally Demolition Man style, cryogenically freeze it, then go Terminator style and blast it to a bazillion pieces. And just spread it all over the country, just for the hell of it, just to do it.
Okay, so that's not cool at all. Because, I mean, how fun is that, right? It's like 5 minutes of fun. No, I'm talking about, like, you got to get it on the interstate and shove it in reverse. Like, yeah, like gears grinding and smoke and, like, just put it in first gear and rev to, like, 10,000 RPMs and leave it there and just watch the engine melt from under the car. Like, that's sort of fun, I'm thinking, like, picturing of in my head.
But that doesn't really destroy it. That destroys the engine. I mean, you gotta just obliterate it.
Yeah, but I mean, you're working up to it, right? So once you're smoking and running hot and everything like that, then you enter in like a demolition derby and you start taking people out. Come on.
See,
I'm talking like destruction from the inside out.
That's kind of fun. For me, it really depends on the car. But personally, a car I would love to kill would be a big school bus or like a Greyhound bus.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And this is multiple reasons, and we're gonna go into that. The first thing I would do,
childhood fantasies coming true,
is I would set the inside of it on fire. Not from the outside. Set the inside of it on fire and put it out before I am left with not much else. So I have charred insides and still a solid metal shell, and then I want to take a mounted machine gun and cut it in half with the machine gun. Go through 5 billion rounds, I don't care, and just actually physically hit it so many times and blow away so much metal in the middle that I cut it into 2 separate halves. And then I would take those 2 separate halves, I would drain all the fluids out of it, and I would sink it in the ocean. And the cool thing is because I'm a diver, I'm a scuba diver, I have now melted, shot, and destroyed a car, and now I have an extra cool place to go diving.
I like the eco-friendly aspect of it there.
Yeah,
like,
drain the
fluids.
Yeah, get the fluids
Well,
out.
okay, hey, you know what? Part of being a diver is learning to be responsible for your diving area. Just like if you're a hiker, you don't go and throw Snicker wrappers where you go hiking. You take care of where you hike. So yeah, you drain the fluids, sink it to the bottom of the ocean, and eventually it'll be like covered in coral and algae and gunk, and fish will live in it. And so you'd be like, I'm swimming through a school bus, that's been blasted in half with a machine gun. By the way, there's a shark. Ah. So that's
Tiburon.
All right. The next one is from Kirby91. And Kirby, it's a great question, but I can tell you, at least personally, I'm going to be very vague with my answers because, well, we need to be. Kirby91 would like to know, what is the fastest speed we have ever driven and with what car?
Who's going to break the ice on this one?
We're going to make Mark go first. Mark, what is your personal VMAX? I'm going to go ahead and alter the question slightly. I'm not necessarily sure we should go through what cars.
All right, so, well, I can say, because it's not a press car, my personal VMAX was in my dad's Vet, 71. It's got the 454 in it. It was about 130. Unfortunately, he was driving at the time because I was like 10. But 130, I guess, give or take. I recently hit 120 in a car, but it was a press car, so I can't quite say.
Oh, see, I'm not even gonna
I didn't. I'm sorry, that was not that fast. I know you're going to win, and I know what car it was in.
Yeah.
And so does everyone else. You might
Okay.
just say it.
Well, so we know I'm going to win, and everybody might not know the car, but we're going to let Justin go next.
Okay. My personal best, I can say what car it was because it's my personal car, is in my my Mazda Speed Miata. Driving back up from Florida. No specifics though, but their big pack of supercars came cruising by me, and they were doing about 120 miles an hour, and I kept pace with them about 120, 125 or so.
That's cool.
And then that car, 120, 125, is
That's
scary.
pretty rough for a
Yeah, that's a small car, and that's a quick speed.
That's very scary.
So I am a massive idiot.
Well, we know that.
And I like to do very stupid things, but granted, I did for a long time also have access to a private runway, which helps a lot. But I have had more than 10 cars above a speed of 145. My personal VMAX is 169 miles an hour.
Nice number.
Yes. And hopefully
that's a golf lap for those of you who can't see the video.
I'm still working on how I might make it happen, but next week I'm going to be in Texas testing out some new Cooper tires, and last time I was there they had some Corvettes and they had a pretty sweet decked out and modified Mercedes C63 AMG.
Ooh.
So they didn't let me on the high speed track last time, but they have a high speed oval track. I'm going to try and see if I can beat my personal best next week in Texas. I'm going to see if Cooper Tires will let me in a Corvette on the track, and I'm going to try and beat that 169. But
well, just tell them that you work for a website called TopSpeed.
And I really
it's
need
kind
to
of a
see
requirement
Top
for me to,
Yeah,
Obviously.
for me to get paid and feed my small children.
Hey, you know what? We're one of the biggest automotive sites in the world. If you guys don't know, because we are awesome, we've been rated like number 3 automotive site in the U.S. Like, I mean, we're a massive site, so we should get to do super cool things like that.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you guys for reading and tuning in and having 3 million people like us, because we appreciate that.
We do like
it. Yeah, but so.
Like
Yeah, like I said, I've had multiple cars over 145. Cars that I've gotten over 155 is shorter. I've only done that in 3 cars. And then, yeah, my personal best is 169. So let's go ahead and move on to our last question. It's from Crazy Egg, and I almost read that as Crazy Greg. Crazy Egg with 3 G's. He says, regarding the GTR, Mr. Mo, did you find that car to be soulless or too digital? Because I read a lot of articles and seen a lot of reviews that people say it's like driving a video game, but somehow you doubt it. Here's one thing straight up. A lot of it is going to be depending on what you've driven. If the only car you've ever been in is your mom's Camry, yes, the GTR is going to be this incredible life-changing experience. If you've been in something like a Porsche, or you've been in a Cadillac CTS-V or an M3 or anything that Jag makes for the most part.
Hyundai Genesis.
I've not driven it, so I'm not going to go that far. But the GTR does feel different. it does feel a little video gamey. Part of it is the incredible abilities that it has. I could literally, and like I know for a fact that there's this turn just down from my house that in my Porsche 944, 35. Like that is the absolute maximum speed I can take that turn. The road is 55, but that one turn, like it's 35 max, and at that speed in my 944, things are a little bit iffy, and the rear end feels a little loose, and it's slightly scary. I can blow through that turn at 60 miles an hour in the GTR, leaning back with one hand, just whoop. The car is so powerful and so impressive that your brain can't really comprehend it, and everything feels easy, and everything just sort of does it for you. So yeah, when you're in like a Miata and you take that turn at 35 miles an hour, you're hanging on, you can feel the back end of the car, and you're right on the edge. And in the GTR, you could do it in your sleep. And so that gives you this really different feeling until you start to hit the really, really high ends of what this vehicle can offer. It's actually not that exciting. Launch control is bonkers. The most exciting thing I've ever done in any car ever is launch control in a GTR. I'm surprised it doesn't give you a concussion with how fast you get off the line. But if you're not like pounding it 100% on a racetrack, it is a little boring. You do feel a little detached from the experience because it is so much better than you could ever be that you just can't quite ever match up to it. So, yeah, I mean, it's not quite like a video game, but it's definitely not as exciting or as fun as you get even in something like a Miata. I mean, if you're really caning on a Miata, it has a much better feel to it. It's a better experience to be a driver than you get out of the GTR.
Well, I imagine a Miata is fun to drive at like 5/10, where a GTR is only fun at like 8 or 9/10 of.
That's basically what it comes down to. Yeah, is if you really can't reach that upper echelon of performance that you can only get out of something like a GTR, it's not that exciting because you always know you could be doing more and you're just kind of sitting there poodling around. Like most people can't understand it, but like really find your favorite back road. You can go down your favorite back road at 90 miles an hour in a GTR, one-handed, leaning back, texting. Whatever.
TopSpeed.com does not endorse texting.
No, please, dear God, never text and drive. If it wasn't for the fact that I love my car, I would crash into you people on freaking purpose if I see you texting on the interstate. I don't care if you roll your Jeep and kill 47 people. You shouldn't have been texting.
I don't know which I hate more, texting driving or putting on makeup and driving.
Texting.
Really?
Texting.
I've seen a person literally taking a drink, smoking a cigarette, talking on the cell phone, and driving a stick shift at the same time.
Now
But
that's...
here's
that was pretty cool.
my thing about everything stupid that people do, including makeup. When you're putting on makeup, you're looking at the mirror above your head, and you can still see the road. It's terrible, it's stupid, but you have some extra peripheral vision. Because texting is illegal, everyone keeps their phone as far down in their crotch as they can, so when they're driving, they look straight down at absolutely nothing but that phone. Yeah, almost.
I wasn't texting, sir. I was...
Right, but it's like... So you can't see anything other than your crotch and the road, which, by the way, it makes you slightly more likely to die because when the airbag goes off, you're going to compress your spine down and have a good chance of snapping your neck. So have fun, idiots on the road. Okay.
How do you really feel about it?
Mo rant of the day is coming to an end.
Anyway, I think we should move on to the next subject.
Yes. Sorry, we are way over time. We're going to finish the last thing. Own, drive, burn. I told you guys I was going to wear my Batman shirt today, and I forgot it. I'm in a different shirt today.
You suck.
But I'll wear my Batman shirt next week. Just one of you guys remind me to put it on. So our own drive, burn this week is 3 Batmobiles, and the wonderful young man or woman who thought of this question made it kind of difficult because they didn't pick any of the terrible Batmobiles. So our choices are the very original one, which is based on the Ford Futura concept back in the 1950s, is the original Adam West TV series Batmobile. That's the one everybody's seen with the cool little bubble windshields and the little flashing light on top. It's a cool little car. Then we have the Michael Keaton Batmobile, which is the one from the 1988 film, I believe it was, Batman, and then again in like 92 with Batman Returns. So that's the one with Michael Keaton and Michael Keaton only, not the creepy George Clooney with the nipples Batmobile. Nothing like that. This is the old school one you probably know from your youth. Jet black, long, huge fins over the wheels. Awesome Batmobile.
In the back. Yes.
Yes, and huge flame shooting out the back. And then our final choice is the new Christian Bale Batmobile, the Tumbler. So this is super, super annoying and difficult.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go first. And as much as it pains me to say it, I would burn the Adam West Batmobile.
Oh.
It's one of the coolest cars ever created. If you've ever seen a replica of it, it is super bonkers and super awesome. But I desperately want to drive a Tumbler because I want to run over everything in the world. And so, like basically what it came down to is these are three of the best Batmobiles ever, and the Adam West Batmobile, in my mind, is just slightly not as best. I would drive once the Tumbler because it's super badass and crazy awesome, and I want to drive it, and I want to launch out of the end of it with my motorcycle and maybe watch the Tumbler explode behind me in a huge fireball like a movie. And I would own for me, what was the only Batmobile, because it was the first Batman movie I saw, the first two Batman movies I saw, and I was infatuated with Batman when I was younger, is the Michael Keaton Batmobile. That is my dream Batmobile car. Thing is super badass.
Batman.
That's a little more Adam. But like my favorite Batman movie is still the first one. Michael Keaton, we got Jack Nicholson as the Joker. It's got one of the best lines in any movie ever when he is up on top of the clock tower, he's dancing around with the creepy music. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Fantastic movie, one of my favorite movies ever, my favorite Batman movie, and that's my favorite Batmobile, so that's the one I would own.
Cool. Well, mine's a little different. I guess for the sake of the classics, I would preserve the Adam West Batmobile, drive that one once. The Michael Keaton, although that is my favorite from my youth, and I really liked it, and I had all the models from it or whatever like that. I don't know. Like, it's really, really cool, but it also screams 90s to me, so I guess I'll burn that one. And I would definitely drive the Christian Bale Tumbler pretty much every day of the week. And anyone who cut me off would deeply regret it.
Like, that would be such a badass daily driver. Like,
yeah,
it really would.
Parallel park, I just crush the Priuses around me. Like, don't worry about that.
Parallel crush.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, all right. I'm just imagining parallel crush.
All right, Justin, your turn.
That's one of those automated parking systems.
Yeah,
like,
screw automated.
Gush, gush. All right, I'm over. Gush, gush. I'm over.
Okay, I would have to. I'm pretty much opposite of you guys. I would want to own the Adam West one only because of the story behind it. You know, they bought the thing for what, $1 after they're about to scrap it and made it into this car that's now worth millions.
Yeah.
So I want to own that for sure. The Tumbler, I have to drive it once. I must. For the same exact reasons. I just want to run people over and not care what anyone else on the road is doing. You get out of my way. And unfortunately, I'm the same as you guys. It is a Batmobile of my youth, but I would have to burn the Michael Keaton Batmobile, only because I think that is the only one of the three that actually did not run, if I remember correctly. I think that was the only one that did not have a running model.
I don't know if the movie ones ran, but I do know that there are lots of replicas that run.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of replicas, but it's the only one that didn't have a movie model that ran. I don't think. I could be wrong on that one, but I think that there were no actual movie models.
All right. Well, we are at a whopping 1 hour and 15 minutes, so we keep going over, folks. I'm sorry, but thank you for hanging out with us. This has been the 9th episode of the TopSpeed.com podcast. We want to thank everyone for hanging out, listening with us. Once again, please, if you wouldn't mind, just head over to iTunes. There is a link here in the piece that we've done on Top Speed. If you're watching the YouTube video, there is a link down below there also. Just click the button, give us a little rating. Please give us an honest rating. I mean, obviously we know honest is 5 stars, but
yeah, because we're that good. If
Right.
it was 10,
Any other
it would be 10.
Any other
It's
5
11.
stars, you're wrong.
it's 11 stars. But go ahead, drop us a rating. If you want to actually write us a short little review, we'd really appreciate it. I can promise you that we're all three going to read everything that gets posted up there because we want to get better for you guys.
And Christian said he was going to pay everyone who wrote a review $10.
Yeah, but I'm going to expense that to Mark.
No, Bill's going to you, bud.
We'll work on the details later, but Sure, I'll lie about that.
$1
You might get paid money. You totally won't, but sure, you might. Again, thank you everyone for hanging out with us on this wonderful Thursday. We hope everyone's had a great week. We hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Please stay safe out there when you're having fun on the roads. Please don't drive and text because I'll find you and crash into you.
With our tumbler.
Yes, I will run you over with a Batmobile. So again, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach us on the emails, podcast@TopSpeed.com. You can find us on the Twitters @TopSpeed Podcast. Or, of course, you can hit us up on the comments like you guys have been. We really appreciate seeing all those. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can find me on Twitter @Moeferd. That's MOEFERD. You can find Mr. Justin @TheCarJunkie. And then Mark is simply @MarkMcNabb. Thank you guys again. We hope you had a wonderful time, and we will see you next week. Cheers.